Did you know that food prices could spike by nearly 40% by the end of 2025? And experts are warning about empty grocery shelves hitting stores across America within the next few months. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm trying to prepare you. Right now, while you're watching this video, supply chains are breaking down. Bird flu is decimating egg farms. Trade wars are blocking imports. And climate disasters are destroying crops worldwide. But here's the thing. You still have time to act. Today, I'm sharing 30 grocery items you need to stockpile before the end of May 2025. These aren't just random foods. These are the exact items that supply chain experts say will become scarce or unaffordable in the coming months. Some of these might shock you. Others will save your family hundreds of dollars, and a few could literally keep you fed when store shelves go empty. So grab a pen, take notes, and let's make sure your family is ready for what's coming. Because waiting until everyone else panics, that's when it's already too late. Let me be clear about something. This isn't fear-mongering. This is reality. Current global challenges. Right now, as I speak, over 345 million people across 79 countries are facing acute food insecurity. That's more than the entire population of the United States, and it's getting worse. The Russia-Ukraine war has destroyed what experts called the breadbasket of Europe. Ukraine used to export massive amounts of corn and wheat. Now, those fields are battlegrounds. This single conflict has disrupted global grain supplies that feed billions of people. But it doesn't stop there. Trade tensions with China are reaching a boiling point. And guess what China supplies? The vegetable oils in your kitchen, the seafood in your freezer, even the basic ingredients that make your morning coffee possible. Last year alone, droughts wiped out wheat crops across multiple continents. Floods destroyed rice fields in Asia. And right here in America, extreme weather is hammering our farms like never before. The coffee industry is facing what experts call a perfect storm. Both Brazil and Colombia, the world's coffee powerhouses, are dealing with weather disruptions that are sending prices through the roof. Your wallet is already feeling it. Food prices have jumped 40% in just 5 years. That's not a typo. 40%. And experts predict another 5% spike just this year alone. Here's what most people don't realize. New tariffs on imported goods are about to hit. Hard. Supply chain experts are warning that the first empty shelves will show up in budget stores, the places where families already struggling with high prices go to save money. Toys, home goods, and yes, imported foods could disappear from shelves within months if these trade disputes escalate. You have a choice right now. You can wait and hope things get better, or you can take 30 minutes today to protect your family for the next year. Smart families are already quietly building their stockpiles. They're not hoarding, they're preparing. And they're doing it while these items are still available and affordable. So let's dive into those 30 items. Because every day you wait, these problems get worse and the solutions get more expensive. Item 1, canned tuna and salmon, the protein powerhouse. Under attack. Let me tell you something that will shock you. Last month, a single can of quality tuna at my local grocery store cost $4.50. 4 years ago, that same can was $1.99. But here's the real kicker. It's about to get much worse. The tuna crisis. Nobody's talking about right now. The tuna industry is facing what experts call a perfect storm of disasters. Overfishing has pushed tuna populations to dangerous lows. New fishing regulations are limiting how much tuna boats can catch. And here's the part that'll blow your mind. There's an aluminum shortage affecting the cans themselves. Think about that. Even if there was unlimited tuna in the ocean, we literally don't have enough aluminum to can it all. Salmon's shocking reality salmon is even worse. Wild salmon populations are crashing due to climate change and overfishing. And farm-raised salmon, don't get me started. Disease outbreaks are wiping out entire salmon farms across the globe. Last year, a major salmon farm in Norway, one of the world's biggest suppliers, lost over 200,000 fish to a single disease outbreak. Gone. Overnight. Why? You need these now? Here's what makes canned fish absolutely essential for your stockpile. First, they're complete proteins. Your body needs all 9 essential amino acids to survive, and canned fish delivers every single one. Second, they last forever. A can of tuna can sit in your pantry for 2 to 5 years without losing nutrition. Try that with fresh fish. Third, they're ready to eat. No cooking, no preparation. When the power's out and your stove doesn't work, you can still feed your family a complete meal straight from the can. The mercury myth busted. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about mercury? Here's the truth. Most people don't know. Some brands have cracked the code on low mercury tuna. Safe Catch Elite, for example, tests every single fish and has the lowest mercury levels on the market. It's safe even for pregnant women and kids. What to buy right now? Here's your action plan. Get Chunk Light Tuna. It has less mercury than albacore. Stock up on wild-caught salmon. Avoid the farm-raised stuff if you can. And here's a pro tip. Sardines are a goldmine. They're packed with omega-3s, super affordable, and nobody's buying them, so they're always in stock. The bottom line. While everyone else is fighting over fresh fish at $20 a pound, you'll have premium protein sitting safely in your pantry. Protein that won't spoil. Protein that's ready instantly. And protein that could literally keep your family fed when meat becomes a luxury item. Don't wait until the news starts reporting on the great protein shortage. By then, these shelves will be empty and prices will be through the roof. Stock up now. Your future self will thank you. Item 2. Canned chicken and beef. Here's something that will blow your mind. Last month, I walked into 3 different grocery stores in my area. You know what I found? Empty spots where canned chicken used to be. Not sold out. Just gone. And it's not just my town. Reports are flooding in from across the country. Walmart, Target, and even Costco. They're all struggling to keep canned proteins on their shelves. Bird flu just wiped out nearly 40 million commercial chickens in 12 states. 40 million. That's not just affecting fresh chicken. It's crushing the entire poultry supply chain, including the canned stuff we all depend on. But here's the kicker. While fresh chicken spoils in days, canned chicken sits safely in your pantry for up to 5 years. 5 years. That's like having a protein insurance policy that never expires. Cattle ranchers are facing their worst crisis in decades. Feed costs have skyrocketed because of the grain shortages I mentioned earlier. Many ranchers are being forced to sell their herds early just to survive. What does this mean for you? Less beef, higher prices, and those convenient canned beef options? They're about to become gold. Right now, you can still find 12-ounce cans of chicken for around $3 to $4. That same amount of protein could cost you $15 as fresh meat by Christmas. Do the math. I'm not saying buy 100 cans tomorrow, but grabbing 6 to 12 cans of each? That's just smart planning. Look for brands like Swanson or Great Value. Check the sodium content. You want the lowest you can find. And here's a pro tip most people miss. Canned beef works perfectly in tacos, chili, or pasta sauce. Your family won't even know the difference. Last week, major food distributors started limiting restaurant orders for canned proteins. When restaurants can't get steady supplies, you know the shortage is real. Don't wait until your local store looks like mine did last month. Stock up now, while you still can. Item 3. Dried beans and lentils. Here's something that will blow your mind. A single cup of dried beans contains more protein than a McDonald's hamburger, and it costs about 30 cents. But here's the shocking part most people don't know. Right now, Argentina, one of the world's largest soybean producers, is dealing with their worst drought in decades. South American bean crops are failing at rates we haven't seen since the 1970s, and it's about to hit your grocery store hard. I was talking to a farmer in Iowa last month. He told me something that kept me up at night. He said, "The cost of growing beans has tripled. Fertilizer prices are insane because of the war in Ukraine. And half my neighbors are switching to corn because it's more profitable." Think about that. American farmers are abandoning beans. Foreign supplies are drying up, and demand is skyrocketing because more families are trying to stretch their grocery budgets. What the experts aren't telling you, here's the part that really gets me fired up. Nutritionists have known for decades that beans are basically perfect survival food. They're loaded with protein, fiber, and essential minerals. They can keep you alive and healthy for months. But the food industry doesn't want you to know this. Why? Because a 50-cent can of beans gives you the same nutrition as a $15 steak dinner. Search social media right now for bean prices 2025, and you'll see what I'm talking about. People are posting photos of empty bean aisles. Others are showing receipts where a bag of black beans that used to cost $2 now costs $5. One woman in Texas posted a video last week showing her local Walmart completely sold out of dried lentils. Completely. Empty shelves. Here's what I want you to do today. Go buy a 25-pound bag of mixed dried beans. It costs about $30 right now. That same bag will feed a family of 4 for 2 weeks. Try to do that with any other protein source. Lentils are even better. They cook faster than beans. They're packed with iron, and they last up to 10 years when stored properly. And here's the beautiful part. Unlike meat or dairy, beans and lentils laugh at power outages. They don't need refrigeration. They don't go bad if your freezer dies. They just sit there, ready to save your budget and fill your belly when everything else gets expensive or scarce. Store them in airtight containers away from light and heat. That's it. You now have a protein source that costs pennies per serving and could literally keep your family fed during the worst supply chain crisis in modern history. While everyone else is fighting over expensive meat at the grocery store, you'll be sitting pretty with one of nature's most perfect foods. Foods that have kept entire civilizations alive for thousands of years. Don't wait until the bean aisle looks like the toilet paper aisle did in 2020. Stock up now while you still can. Item 4. Peanut butter. Okay, so peanut butter. I know. You're probably thinking, really? Peanut butter? But listen to me for a second. This stuff is basically liquid gold in a jar. I'm not even kidding. Last month, my neighbor told me she couldn't find her usual brand anywhere for 3 weeks straight. 3 weeks. Here's the thing that blew my mind when I was researching this. One jar of peanut butter, just one regular jar, contains about 6,000 calories. That's 3 days of survival food right there. And it lasts 9 months unopened. 9 months. But here's what's really crazy. Peanut crops are getting hammered by climate change. Georgia, which grows most of our peanuts, has been dealing with these weird weather patterns. Too much rain, then drought, then more rain. It's like Mother Nature can't make up her mind. Stock up on at least 8 jars per person. And here's a pro tip. Get the natural stuff without all the added sugar. Your body will thank you later when you're actually depending on this for nutrition. Item 5. Canned sardines. All right, I can already hear some of you going, sardines. But hold up. Just hear me out on this one. These little fish are basically nature's multivitamin. Seriously. They're packed with omega-3s, protein, and calcium. Stuff your body absolutely needs when you're stressed or not eating as varied as usual. And here's something that should scare you. Fish populations are crashing worldwide. Climate change is warming the oceans, and fish are literally swimming away to cooler waters. Salmon populations are down. Tuna is getting harder to catch sustainably. But sardines? They're still relatively abundant, and they're cheap. Like really cheap. You can get a can for under $2 that has more nutrition than a $15 salmon fillet. My grandmother used to eat these during World War II. She'd tell me stories about how they kept her family going when meat was rationed. Smart woman. She lived to 94, by the way. Get at least 20, 30 cans. Trust me on this. When protein gets expensive, and it will, you'll be glad you have these little nutritional powerhouses sitting in your pantry. Item 6. Protein powder. Now, this might seem like a luxury item, but it's not. Not anymore. I was talking to a nutritionist friend of mine last week, and she said something that really stuck with me. She said, when people are stressed and eating limited foods, the first thing that suffers is their protein intake. And when your protein drops, your immune system goes with it. Protein powder is like having insurance for your muscles and your health. One scoop has about 25 grams of protein. That's equivalent to a chicken breast, but it'll last 2 years on your shelf. Here's what's happening right now that most people don't know. The factories that make protein powder, they're dealing with the same supply chain issues as everyone else. Plus, the main ingredients, whey and plant proteins, are getting more expensive because of feed costs and crop issues. I noticed at my local Costco last month, they were limiting how many containers people could buy. That's usually the first sign that supplies are getting tight. Get at least 2, 3 containers per person, chocolate or vanilla, whatever you can actually stomach drinking, because the best survival food is the one you'll actually eat. Item 7. Nuts and seeds. Oh man, nuts and seeds. These are nature's perfect survival food. I'm not exaggerating. Almonds, walnuts, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds, they're basically tiny packages of everything your body needs. Healthy fats, protein, vitamins, and minerals. And they last forever if you store them right. But here's what's freaking me out about nuts right now. California grows like 80% of the world's almonds. 80%. And California is dealing with water shortages, droughts, and these massive floods that destroy crops. I was reading this report last week that said nut prices could double by fall. Double! My cousin who lives in Central Valley, that's where all the nut farms are, is telling me farmers are struggling to keep their trees alive. And it's not just almonds, walnuts, pistachios, even peanuts. They're all facing similar problems. Here's my strategy, and I'm sharing this because I actually care about you guys. Buy nuts and seeds in bulk now while they're still reasonable. Vacuum seal them or freeze them. They'll last up to 2 years that way. Get a variety, almonds for vitamin E, walnuts for omega-3s, and sunflower seeds for magnesium. Your future self will thank you when a bag of almonds costs $20 instead of $8. Item 8. Eggs. Okay, eggs. This one's tough to talk about because the situation is honestly pretty scary right now. So, you know how egg prices went crazy a couple of years ago? Well, guess what? It's happening again. Bird flu is back with a vengeance. We're talking about millions of chickens being culled. Millions. I went to 3 different stores last week looking for regular eggs. The first store, completely sold out. The second store had them for $6.99 a dozen. $6.99 for eggs! The third store had a limit of 2 dozen per customer. Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. The avian flu isn't just killing chickens, it's terrifying farmers. When one bird gets infected, they have to destroy entire flocks. We're talking about facilities with hundreds of thousands of birds being wiped out overnight. And it's not just about the chickens dying, it's about how long it takes to rebuild those flocks. You can't just snap your fingers and have egg-laying hens again. It takes months to raise new birds to laying age. So here's what I'm doing and what I think you should consider. If you can find eggs at a reasonable price, and by reasonable, I mean under $4 a dozen, buy extra and freeze them. Yeah, you can freeze eggs. Crack them, scramble them lightly, and freeze them in ice cube trays. They'll last 6 months that way. Or, if you've got the space and the inclination, maybe this is the time to seriously think about getting a few chickens. I know. Not everyone can do that. But if you can, man, having your own egg supply right now is like having a gold mine in your backyard. The bottom line with eggs is this. They're probably going to be expensive and scarce for the next year, maybe longer. So if you see them available and affordable, don't hesitate. Stock up responsibly, but definitely stock up. Item 9, white and brown rice. So here's the thing about rice. You probably think it's just rice, right? Wrong. Dead wrong. Rice feeds literally half the planet. Half. And right now, the global rice supply is facing what experts are calling a perfect storm. Climate change, that El Niño weather pattern that's been wreaking havoc, and geopolitical tensions are all hitting rice production at the same time. Here's what blew my mind when I was researching this. Vietnam and Thailand, 2 of the world's biggest rice exporters, are dealing with severe droughts. Meanwhile, flooding in other regions is destroying entire harvests. It's like Mother Nature can't make up her mind. But either way, our rice supply is getting hammered. Buy both white and brown rice. White rice lasts longer. We're talking 4 to 6 years if stored properly. Brown rice? About 6 months because of the oils. But honestly, having both gives you options. And trust me, when rice prices spike 50% like they did in some countries last year, you'll be thanking yourself. Item 10. Pasta. Okay, pasta. Everyone loves pasta, right? Well, here's the problem. Pasta is made from wheat. And wheat? Oh man, wheat is in serious trouble. Russia and Ukraine? They grow about 20% of the world's wheat. 20%. That's like, imagine if 1/5 of all the bread, pasta, and cereals just disappeared overnight. That's essentially what's happening right now. But wait, it gets worse. Droughts are hitting wheat crops everywhere. The U.S. planted 4% fewer acres of corn and wheat last year compared to 2021. That might not sound like much, but when you're feeding 330 million Americans, that 4% matters a lot. Stock up on pasta now. Different shapes, different brands, because when flour shortages really hit, and they will, pasta will be one of the first things to disappear from shelves or become ridiculously expensive. Item 11. Flour. Speaking of flour. Guys, this one keeps me up at night. Flour is in everything. Bread, obviously. But also pancakes, pizza dough, cookies, even the coating on your fried chicken. It's everywhere. And the global flour supply is, frankly, falling apart. Remember those Ukraine wheat fields I mentioned? Yeah, many of them are literally battlefields now. And climate change is reducing wheat yields across the globe. We're seeing crop failures that would have been unthinkable just a decade ago. Here's a crazy stat for you. Flour prices in some regions have already doubled. Doubled. And supply chain experts are warning that shortages could hit mainstream grocery stores by summer. Get multiple types. All-purpose flour for everyday cooking. Whole wheat if you want the nutrition. And honestly, consider some specialty flours too, because when regular flour becomes scarce, having alternatives could be a game changer. Item 12. Oats. Now, oats might seem boring, but let me tell you why they're actually brilliant for stockpiling. First off, oats are incredibly versatile. Breakfast oatmeal, obviously. But you can also use them in baking, make oat flour, and even use them in savory dishes. They're like the Swiss Army knife of grains. But here's the kicker. Oat production is getting hit by the same climate issues affecting other crops. Plus, there's been increased demand as more people discover oats are heart-healthy and gluten-free. Supply and demand, folks. It's basic economics. Steel-cut oats last the longest, up to 2 years in proper storage. Rolled oats are more convenient for quick meals. Get both. Your future self will thank you when a box of oatmeal costs $8 instead of $3. Item 13. Quinoa. Okay, quinoa. I know. Some of you are rolling your eyes thinking this is some health food trend. But hear me out. Quinoa is what nutritionists call a complete protein. That means it has all the essential amino acids your body needs. It's basically like having meat and grains combined into one food. That's huge when you're trying to maintain nutrition during uncertain times. Plus, quinoa stores really well. We're talking 2-3 years in proper conditions. And unlike rice or pasta, quinoa cooks fast and doesn't need a lot of water or energy. When resources are tight, that efficiency matters. The downside? It's expensive now, and it's probably going to get more expensive. Most quinoa comes from South America, and guess what? Supply chains from South America are, well, let's just say they're not the most reliable right now. Item 14. Crackers. Crackers might seem like a weird thing to stockpile, but they're actually genius. Think about it. Crackers don't need cooking. They're portable. They last forever. Well, not forever, but a really long time. And they can turn a can of soup into an actual meal or make peanut butter feel like a real snack instead of just desperation food. But here's what most people don't realize. Crackers are made from grains and oils. 2 things that are becoming increasingly expensive and scarce. As those input costs rise, cracker prices are going to skyrocket. Look for varieties in boxes or tins rather than bags. They store better and last longer. And honestly, get the boring ones. Saltines, water crackers. When you're hungry, you won't care about fancy flavors. Item 15. Bread. Last but definitely not least, bread. But not just any bread. Frozen bread. Here's why this is brilliant. Fresh bread goes bad in days. Frozen bread? Months. You can buy loaves when they're on sale, toss them in the freezer, and have fresh bread whenever you need it. But here's the real reason you need to do this now. Bread prices are about to go crazy. Wheat shortages, energy costs for baking, and labor shortages at bakeries. It's all hitting at once. In some parts of the country, a simple loaf of bread has already jumped from $2 to $4. That's just the beginning. Pro tip: slice the bread before freezing if you can. That way, you can just grab a few slices instead of defrosting a whole loaf. And get different types: whole wheat for nutrition, white bread for the kids who won't eat the healthy stuff. You know what? When I see families struggling to afford basic groceries while billionaires argue about space tourism, it just makes me mad. But you know what makes me feel better? Knowing that people like you are taking control. You're not waiting for the government to fix supply chains or for corporations to lower prices out of the goodness of their hearts. You're taking responsibility for your family's future. And that's exactly what you should be doing. Item 16. Canned tomatoes. Listen, I'm not even kidding here. Canned tomatoes are they're like the Swiss Army knife of your pantry. You can make pasta sauce, soup, chili, stew, basically anything that doesn't taste like cardboard when you're stuck at home for weeks. But here's the kicker, and this is where it gets really scary. Tomato crops are getting absolutely hammered by extreme weather. We're talking about droughts in California and floods in other growing regions. And guess what? Most of our tomatoes come from just a few places. When those places get hit, boom, your $1.50 can of tomatoes suddenly costs $4. Stock up on crushed tomatoes, diced tomatoes, and tomato paste. Get them all. Trust me on this one. Item 17. Mixed vegetables. Okay, so mixed vegetables. I know. They're not exactly Instagram worthy, right? But listen to me carefully here. When fresh vegetables cost $8 for a tiny bag of spinach, and that's happening right now in some places, these canned mixed veggies become your lifeline. One can give you carrots, peas, corn, green beans. That's like 4 different vegetables for the price of one fresh apple. And they last for years. Years. While fresh vegetables rot in your fridge after 3 days, these little cans are sitting there, ready to save your dinner and your budget. Item 18. Corn. Now corn. Oh man, corn is where things get really interesting. See, corn isn't just corn. It's in everything. Your soda, your bread, your meat. Because that's what animals eat. It's basically the foundation of our entire food system. And right now, corn production is dropping. Ukraine used to be one of the world's biggest corn exporters. Not anymore. Argentina had a terrible harvest. And American farmers, they planted 4% fewer acres last year. That might not sound like much, but when you're talking about feeding 330 million Americans, 4% is huge. Get the whole kernel corn. Get the cream corn. Honestly, just get it all while you still can. Items 19. 20. Green beans and other canned vegetables. Green beans, carrots, peas. Look, I'm going to be real with you here. Fresh vegetables are great when times are good. But when supply chains break down and truckers can't deliver fresh produce, these canned vegetables literally become the difference between having vitamins in your diet and, well, not having vitamins in your diet. And here's something most people don't think about. The aluminum shortage. Yeah, you heard that right. There's an aluminum shortage affecting the entire canned goods industry. So not only are the vegetables themselves getting more expensive, but the cans they come in are getting scarce too. It's like a perfect storm, and most people have no clue it's coming. Items 21, 22, canned and dried fruits, canned peaches, pears, fruit cocktail, and dried fruits like raisins, cranberries, and apricots. Now I'll admit, I used to think canned fruit was just meh. But you know what? When you haven't had fresh fruit in weeks because it's either unavailable or costs $10 for 3 apples, that can of peaches tastes like heaven. Plus, and this is important, fruits give you vitamin C. And vitamin C keeps you healthy when stress levels are through the roof and your immune system is taking a beating. Dried fruits are even better in some ways. They're compact, they last forever, and honestly, they're like nature's candy. When you're stressed and everything feels uncertain, having something sweet that's also good for you, it's a game changer for your mental health. Item 23. Olive oil. Olive oil isn't just for fancy cooking, all right? It's essential. Your body needs fats to absorb vitamins. Plus, fat makes you feel full. When you're trying to stretch your food supplies, adding olive oil to whatever you're eating helps you feel satisfied instead of constantly hungry. But here's the scary part. Olive oil production is getting crushed by weather disasters and pests. The Mediterranean region, where most of our olive oil comes from, is dealing with droughts and diseases affecting olive trees. Prices are already going up and they're going to keep climbing. Get the big bottles, the 500 milliliters and 750 milliliters sizes. Don't worry about it going bad. Olive oil lasts for years if you store it properly. Item 24, coconut oil. Coconut oil is like the superhero of cooking oils. You can cook with it, bake with it, and in a pinch, you can even use it for basic first aid. It's naturally antimicrobial, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. And unlike other oils that can go rancid quickly, coconut oil is incredibly stable. It can sit in your pantry for 2 years or more without going bad. Item 25, vegetable oil. Now, vegetable oil might seem boring, but it's absolutely critical. Most of our vegetable oil comes from soybeans, and guess what? South America had massive droughts last year that destroyed soybean crops. Canada, which produces canola oil, had terrible harvests too. We're looking at a vegetable oil shortage that's already started, and most people don't even know about it yet. Get the big jugs while they're still affordable. Item 26. Butter. This one's going to surprise you, but hear me out. Butter freezes incredibly well. Like, really well. You can freeze it for 6 months to a year, and it's perfectly fine when you thaw it out. And here's why this matters. Dairy production is getting hit hard. Between bird flu affecting farms, feed costs going through the roof, and supply chain issues, butter prices are already climbing fast. Buy extra butter now and freeze it. Your future self will thank you when butter costs $8 a pound instead of $4. Item 27. Salt and sugar. Salt and sugar aren't just seasonings, okay? They're preservation tools. Salt has been keeping food safe for thousands of years. Sugar does the same thing. Plus, when you're eating basic foods every day, a little salt and sugar makes everything more bearable. And here's the thing. Salt and sugar basically never go bad. Ever. You could buy them today, and your grandchildren could use them. That's the kind of investment that makes sense. Item 28. Spices and seasonings. This is where a lot of people think they can cut corners, but trust me, don't. When you're eating rice and beans for the 3rd week in a row, spices are what keep you sane. Get the basics. Garlic powder, onion powder, black pepper, paprika, cumin, and chili powder. These transform boring survival food into actual meals you want to eat. And spices are getting hit by climate change too. Many spices come from tropical regions that are dealing with unpredictable weather. Prices are already going up on herbs and spices, and it's going to get worse. Item 29. Vinegar. Vinegar is like the ultimate multi-tool. You can preserve food with it, clean with it, and it makes everything taste better. Apple cider vinegar, white vinegar, or even balsamic if you want to get fancy. Vinegar lasts basically forever. I'm talking decades if you store it right, and when fresh vegetables are scarce, a little vinegar on your canned vegetables makes them taste fresh again. Item 30. Honey. Last, but definitely not least, honey. Real honey, not that fake corn syrup stuff. Honey is incredible because it never goes bad. Archaeologists have found honey in Egyptian tombs that's still perfectly edible after thousands of years. But beyond that, honey is medicine. It's antibacterial, it soothes sore throats, and when you're stressed and everything feels uncertain, honey is like a warm hug for your taste buds. Local honey is best if you can get it, but any real honey is better than no honey. All right, here's the deal. You've got two choices right now. Choice 1. You can close this video, scroll to the next one, and hope everything magically gets better. But honestly, deep down, you know that's not going to happen. Choice 2. You can take action. Today. Right now. Look, I'm not asking you to go crazy and buy a year's worth of food tomorrow. That's not realistic, and honestly, it's not smart either. But what I am asking you to do is start. Pick 5 items from this list. Just 5. Go to the store this week and grab them. Next week, pick 5 more. In a month, you'll have built a solid foundation that could literally save your family hundreds of dollars, or keep you fed when everyone else is fighting over the last can of beans at the store. And here's what I need you to do right now. If this video opened your eyes, if it made you realize we need to prepare for what's coming, smash that like button. Share this with your family, your friends, your neighbors, because the more people who are prepared, the better off we all are. Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because I'm going to keep you updated on what's happening with food supplies, what to watch for, and most importantly, how to stay ahead of the curve. Remember, it's not about living in fear. It's about being smart. It's about taking care of the people you love. The question isn't whether things are going to get tough. The question is, will you be ready when they do? Start today. Your future self is counting on you. I'll see you in the next one. Stay prepared, stay smart, and stay safe.